Beep, 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 beep. Hello and welcome to the Court of the Edijester once more. Okay, I've got a brilliant piece here today from Zoe Strimple in the Telegraph. Britain is now worse than an international laughingstock. It is not just grooming gang scandal. Starmer's UK is becoming a case study in how to destroy a society. This is a very strong piece from Zoe indeed. And as you can see there, we can begin with a picture of Keir Starmer. Queer Harmer, as I call him. Right. Zoe says, more than once while talking to friends in the United States recently, I have encountered chuckling, head shaking, and a comment along the lines of, what's going on with you guys? You guys are crazy. And then more chuckling, tapering into a slightly bored pause, then a change of subject. That's exactly what I'm getting from my American, Australian, New Zealand, and all of the warrior teachers who are outside the UK saying the same thing. What the hell is going on? They are referring, of course, so Zoe continues, to the constant stream of strange, worrying news emanating from our sceptred isle. News that, as the world heaves against the era of woke and political correctness, with a link there to explore more about heaves against the era of woke, puts us awkwardly and very clearly at odds with the direction of travel in the United States, as well as other parts of the free world. Now, this is an interesting opening salvo there from Zoe. We are certainly at odds with most parts of the world that are now ditching these insane EDI, DEI, woke, net zero, all the bloody rubbish that comes with it. That they're going to deal with that and get rid of it all and get these lunatics out of power. And we're going in the opposite direction. And Reeves has spotted off to China. Hello, talk about they don't know what they're doing. Talk about they don't know what they're doing, or they do know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what it is that they're doing. With its anti-woke backlash in full swing, and this is going to be interesting from the 20th, America is detoxing from the poisonous brew of diversity, inclusion, social justice, and identitarian rubbish that it cooked up and exported all over the Western world in recent decades, with Britain one of the most willing takers. You know, it's strange to see that written down in a major newspaper. Back in 2019, when I wrote about it and said this is a load of bullshit and it's dangerous, and people thought I was insane and abandoned me, I never thought I'd be reading that. But here we are, 2025, January, and there's it is in the Telegraph, with its anti-woke backlash in full swing. It's detoxing from the poisonous brew. Those that aren't detoxing out of choice are doing so out of fear. Donald Trump has vowed to cut federal funding to America's DEI-obsessed universities if they boycott Israel and fail to stamp out what he called the anti-Semitic propaganda that has flourished on their campuses since October the 7th. Perhaps the even bigger change is evident in corporate America, which previously up to its eyeballs in woke, has also got wise to the way the wind is blowing. Walmart, McDonald's, Boeing, booze company Morris Coulson, Harley-Davidson, tractor maker John Deere, and Lowe's, the home improvement retailer, have all said they will scale back and, in some cases, entirely eliminate DEI programs in recent months. Not even Mark Zuckerberg's Meta empire appears to be following even Mark Zuckerberg's Meta empire appears to be following suit. Its axing of DEI programs came in the same week that it announced it was getting rid of fact checkers or policing of content on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads in a victory for free speech diehards. I don't agree with that statement, Zoe. I mean, you're not a free speech diehard. You're either free speech or you're not. Meta is a submissive move towards the incoming Trump administration. The former Lib Dem leader Nick Clegg has also been replaced as president of global affairs by a Republican, Joe Kaplan. It's very interesting, as we're seeing here, that people are beginning to wake up. Now, Mark Zuckerberg, who unfortunately I always see as Jesse Eisenberg because of the film, and Jesse's far more handsome, right? Musk's a funny looking, Mark's a funny looking creature. Jess is a babe, right? Okay, so there's a waking up here, isn't it? I mean, I think the public are beginning to wake up, even though it's very slow. The public are beginning to wake up, and certainly big business is going to have to catch up very, very quickly. The damage that's being done by woke now is across the board. And the only places that seem to be really struggling with it, although we are seeing some movement, is the public sector. But certainly the universities are absolutely steeped in it, and they need to be defunded until they stop. The winds of change have, in part, been fanned by one Robbie Starbuck. He's brilliant. Have you ever seen the work of Robbie Starbuck? Go and have a look. He's really been hitting these big companies. He's a former music video director turned activist, and Starbuck is credited with getting Walmart, Harley-Davidson, John Deere, and Lowe's to abandon woke policy. Elsewhere, consumer pressure has been instrumental in forcing companies to shift course. When Bud Light ran an ad campaign with that Dylan Mulvaney twat, the ridiculous trans influencer, sales of the beer tanked. It was a shock and a wake-up call of a magnitude that seems only possible in America. There have also been massive changes in the world of net zero, and this is massive news. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, is the latest on Wall Street to leave the Net Zero Asset Managers Initiative. Britain's highly ideological and punitive approach to environmentalism may soon leave it even more of an international outlier. And that ties in with that slightly conspiracy theory idea that I brought to you a couple of days ago about the new bill, the new awful bill about environmentalism that's going through Parliament. There is nothing more authoritarian and totalitarian than the Green Movement. Be aware of that. Nothing, even over and above everything else, they're by far the worst. So again, Zoe is saying here that we are ideological and punitive about this, and it will leave us even more of an international outlier, when in fact we need to abandon the whole thing. Just forget it. Get on with doing what we've got to do. Of course, the apparent madness of Britain and the growing image crisis facing the country under Labour's leadership has come to a head in the outrage over the grooming gangs, rape gangs. Our government does not seem to be able to get a grip on the scandals and the cover-ups that have horrified the world. Indeed, Starmer's main takeaway from the global reaction of shock and disgust, including the almost obsessive interference by Elon Musk, seems to be that we must not give in to the far right. I mean, they are totally delusional. Totally delusional. I was having a chat with somebody the other day who'd been to an HR conference with some of the big guys. And, they all sit in a room, slap each other on the back, get bob haircuts. You get the idea. And she said to me, they're absolutely living in a bubble. They have no idea what's going on outside their own little world. HR are one of the biggest problems for this. And she said they've got no idea. They're still rattling on about inclusivity and trans, and they literally do not know what's going on. Because they're all on bloody Blue Sky or LinkedIn. They just don't get to hear about it. They shut themselves off. They think like Musk does. Oh, that's the far right. It's all the far right. Is it? Achtung! Where are they? The far right. Got some woman in the corner crocheting going, oh, it's worrying it. They've got something wrong with their culture with this rape gang. And then somebody else, some woke HR person going, there's the far right. Where? Over there in the corner. Which one? The one with the crochet. It's absolutely deranged, but that's where they are. That's where they are. Starmer appears to be constitutionally resistant to broaching any kind of national conversation at all about improperly controlled migration or the specific social problems associated with immigration from countries with very different values to our own. I'd say inferior, by the way, Zoe. Let's not be careful. With very different, they're not very different, they're inferior values to our own. In Britain today, as my head-shaking friends in America have easily perceived, the evils of sounding or being accused of racism seem to outweigh the urgency of thoroughly addressing the actual evils that have taken place. Then there is Labour's governing agenda, including a schools policy actively hostile to educational excellence and an economic policy that appears determined to push Britain into bankruptcy. It is hard to disagree with the Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch when she said last week that what we have here is Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party, fronted by Keir Starmer. This is all the Corbynite stuff, but Keir Starmer is fronting it. This is Jeremy Corbyn's dream. Interesting, isn't it? Jeremy Corbyn's dream is most decent people's nightmare, especially economically. While the US economy goes gangbusters and with the US stock market quivering in anticipation of Trump's arrival back at the White House, we in Britain are contracting where we aren't stagnating, with fewer people getting or even looking for jobs. Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, is a laughingstock. It's odd to recall that just a few years ago, we were looked on admiringly by many of our American friends for standing up against the worst of the trans madness. Some even dubbed us Turf Island! We are Turf Island! I won't have to know it for those efforts, turning a slur used against trans exclusionary radical feminists into a light-hearted nod to British pluck. Now we are just Starmer's grim union-run, somnambulant, and yes, still hopelessly woke island. If we don't wake up from our confusion soon, we are going to be nothing more than a declinist relic, chasing its tail, fighting battles that only have losers, shadowboxing away our immense value and resources, till we have none. My thanks to Zoe. This is an absolute barnstormer of a piece. Please do go and read it. Links as usual in the tubers. Go and become a warrior teacher. I think that Zoe has managed to articulate what many are thinking and done so brilliantly. So my thanks to you, Zoe. Everybody else, you have a great day. I'll see you soon. That's it. I'm done. Bye-bye.